Hello, this is the introduction to the Service Learning Project with the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation. Presentation by Alexander Whitby and Samuel Recchio for Accounting Information Systems and Controls, Dr. Power's class. For our Service Learning Project, we aided Mr. Alfonso Mendoza, who has been a farmer in the Central Valley for over 30 years. He is the owner of Privilege Valley Produce, and they grow primarily pomegranates and oranges. And he is applying for a loan due to the coronavirus pandemic, which has lowered his sales, and therefore the loan would be intended for maintenance and also to plant more trees to increase revenue for his farms. So what do we do for Mr. Mendoza? So he was applying for a $50,000 loan to continue maintenance on his farm and to also plant more trees. And so with the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation, our part of the Service Learning Project was to compile 3 financial statements: an income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow projections. We were able to do so with prior year 1040s and also communicating with the client and gathering information about current year and also future projections. Once our financial statements are completed, they will go on to the underwriter, and then it will go to the loan committee because of the large loan that Mr. Mendoza is applying for. And after that, he will get an approval or a deny for the application for his loan. What did we learn from the experience that is connected to accounting information systems and controls? Well, we believe that one of the key factors here is the fact that we were able to work with a real entity, a real living person that provided us with real financial statements that needed work to be done. We were able to use our accounting knowledge that we got through school to pick out the correct information and apply them to our documents in order to find the numbers that we needed to get on the financial statements. By having the experience with Excel and other softwares, we were able to make this experience very streamlined by knowing the equations and how the software operates. And it also allowed for our work to actually serve a purpose beyond a grade. It was actually to serve a client to help better their business or make their business survive. And so we believe that having the service learning experience has shortened the gap between just school and also working in the field as an accountant. How is our experience connected with our degree? As accounting students, we are exposed to financial statements almost every semester, and for this service learning project, we had to compile 3 financial statements for our client. And not only did we utilize our knowledge of creating and making sure the financial statements were correct, but this service learning experience allowed us to actually interact with real clients, and that's something that we do not normally experience as students. Normally it's only theory-based. So we were able to connect that by closing the gap between real-world application and just education in the school system. And talking with clients establishes a professional relationship, and I believe it also creates confidence that we can take on as future accountants. I know that for me personally, after talking with our client at least once, I got more confidence talking to them again, and it became a lot more easier, and I was actually a lot more, I believe, interactive with the client. So it was very helpful for me to have this experience.
So the question is, how can students help their business community? And the first thing that comes to mind is that students are helping their communities by taking on some of the workload or shouldering some of the burden that comes with owning a business. And these communities benefit from the volunteer work, while in return, students are gaining valuable real-life experience working on problems. Many of the services that are provided through the Service Learning Project are essential or in dire need by the community, and especially to those that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford it or have access to those sort of services. It seems in today's day and age that the bigger a company is, the more access it has to resources, the more access it has to people, opportunities. And so, especially with COVID, a lot of these smaller businesses are really struggling. And so it's been fulfilling as well as beneficial, I'm sure, to the community to be able to help out some of these small businesses. The last sort of point we'd make here is that the service learning project is overall developing us for becoming more educated on real world problems. It's helping to develop us to become more professional in our future employment. And through this opportunity, we're ultimately going to give back to the community that we're serving today in the future. So we've touched on the topic of how the service learning program is overall beneficial for the community. And now we're going to talk a little bit more about how it's bettering us as community members or students. And the first thing that comes to mind here is that overall, we're making connections with people that otherwise might not have that sort of networking or access to other people in the industry or within the community. I know that through this program, we've made a lot of professional connections, and it's not entirely unlikely that we'll be working someday in the future with them. So that's been super helpful. Another way that it's kind of developed us is to make us more ethical as professionals. And accounting is not just about helping Fortune 500 companies or big corporations that have all the power and resources, but it also involves small family businesses and people that are just trying to get by on a modest living. And so it's really kind of developed our ethical senses and gives us a sort of empowerment to be helping these sort of small businesses. The last thing I'd mention here is that by exposing students, not just me and Sam, but the students as a whole in the class to diverse groups of clients, diverse groups of industries, we're ultimately able to create a environment that is professional. We're able to represent Fresno State in a professional sense as well. And it's overall just impactful to the community to have all of these Fresno natives working together and make it a better place. So on these slides, we have just some pictures of Privileged Valley Produce, and two of their main crops that they're growing right now are pomegranates and oranges. And here we have two aerial views of the properties. So their Terra Bella property is 20 acres, and that's primarily where they are growing their pomegranates. And the Lindsay property is 14 and a half acres, and that's where they are currently growing all of their oranges. And on this slide, we just have some pictures of their operations. So in the top left, you can see their packing and storage and inventory. And you can also see some of their products here in the bottom right, which is their orange juice and pomegranate juice. So wrapping things up here, in conclusion, what have been the biggest impacts from the service learning program on the class as a whole, as well as Sam and I as a team? And I think that the obvious answer, or at least the biggest impact it's had on us, is giving us real hands-on experience with actual people. You can sit in a class and learn concepts and study math and have answers to questions, but in the real world, what this has kind of shown us is that there are challenges that'll come up which don't always have the exact answers or solutions provided for you. And in a lot of instances, you kind of have to think on your feet in order to get stuff done. And so I think that's been the biggest takeaway for us. Another big impact it's had is our resumes as well as our future applications or employment. Everyone loves volunteer work, and it's been enjoyable to say the least. And I think that's really going to help us as students to better our futures. It also gives the community professional backgrounds for students kind of like we mentioned in some of the previous slides, we'll essentially be paying it forward or paying it back as we have been given this opportunity through the program to develop ourselves professionally, and then ultimately we'll be giving that back to the community that we're serving today. The last sort of benefit I think that this kind of applies to just students in general that are following the program is that it will give them an opportunity to kind of test the waters on their future professions or what they're majoring in currently, and to see if it's really for them or if it's something that they enjoy doing. And so that's about it for our presentation. It's been a lot of fun and I've learned a lot from it. It's been very valuable. Thank you.